George Kilpatrick, inspiration for the nation, celebrating people that we feel good about. About 3 years ago, about 4 years ago, Connie Touri was brutally murdered at the Skyline Apartments right here on James Street in the city of Syracuse. And the details are horrifying. Her killer was sentenced. Did offer some kind of apology with the family. Was like, it's a little bit too late for that. But Sandy Tory Bell is here to let us know that Aunt Connie was more than that. And while we might remember the tragedy of the end of her life, she was so much more than that. Sandy has now made it her mission to let us know a little bit about who Connie was, the impact of who she was in her life, and how Sandy herself is taking the tragedy of that situation and looking to do some more in the community. Amazing that you're looking to do that. But let's start with who Aunt Connie was.
Well, Connie was my aunt. She was my father's only sibling. She never married. And my brothers and sisters and I are her closest living relatives. Connie's life was amazing. She traveled all 7 continents,
Really?
and she traveled well over 60 years until she was in her late 80s. She started traveling right when she got out of college at the age of 21, and continued to travel until she had an accident overseas, broke her hip, and she wasn't as mobile after that. And that was in her mid to late 80s.
When you think about her life, not just what happened, but what moments or qualities stand out most?
I think her stories of all her travels, whenever our family got together, and she was in town because there was so much time she wasn't. I think about her stories and the in the older days, she had slideshows, and then progressed eventually into photos and things that we still have many of. I think about the experiences she had and how she would actually she kept a journal, and she wanted to write a book, and before her death I was helping her edit. That's still my hope to try to have someone help me put that together, because some of her stories weren't just about the sites, they were about the people from the different places she traveled. So
I was, obviously this is, she didn't have any children, so you were her family.
they
Um,
were.
After such an unimaginable loss, what does the journey of healing look like for you and your family?
um I think it might be different for all of us,
Mm-hmm.
but for me myself, it's been tough. I mean, it was tough there. Just the realization of a 93 years old. It's not that she died, it's the way that she died. And the fact that Connie traveled the world, lived in many different places, um, taught in Turkey, India, or yeah, Italy, and France, and always called Syracuse her home. And she traveled in many dangerous places. She didn't stay at lush, lavish hotels. She would find a room or find someone that had a room and stay. Ask, can I stay for 2 weeks? So she always called Syracuse her home and always came back here, even if it was just for a week or so. And I think that was hard for me. And the other hard thing for me, um, well, her estate uh, her estate sued Green Skyline and the security company back in 2022 for wrongful death. That settled last year, and we came to terms with that. For the record, I did not want to settle. I preferred to go to trial with it. I felt that it was that was warranted. My brother and I did. However, the majority of my brothers and sisters wanted to settle, so we did. And I thought to myself, what will I do with this? Because I can't, it's not money I'm going to keep. So I've decided to donate it to charities in central New York and Syracuse, to different charities annually. And because, like, as I said, she always considered Syracuse her home. So if I can give back to the community, she can. And I was born and raised here. I went to high school here,
Would you go to high
college.
school?
I went to Henniger.
Henniger High School.
At Henniger, I went to ESF for undergrad. I went to SU grad. This has been my home. So
So this is how we met, because
yeah,
we were at the Mary Nelson Masquerade Ball, and Mary says to me, George, you got to interview Sandy Touri Bell. She is giving back to the community, and this is the way that she's turning her pain into purpose. And uh, that says something about you.
no, it says more about her. I To me, it's the right thing to do. I I can't think of it that way, but I met her after I received my settlement check, and I had read about her backpack giveaways every year, and I just missed it by a week. But I called her anyway, and I said, I want to make a donation, and I read about your tragedy with your nephew, and I'm trying to, and I read more about the community center and her trying to educate kids and her mission. And that's just what Connie was about, always about education. She put herself through college. They were very poor, and she got two master's degrees, and she was all about education. So Mary said, well, come on down and meet me. So I went down on a Monday, and literally there were lines of people there for the food pantry on a Monday that she
Mm.
has every Monday. And I went in and met her and the rest of the staff, and I was just blown away. And we started talking, and I'm thinking to myself, I've done some grant writing in the past. So we talked a bit, and she talked about a grant that she had. And I said, let's go out and look for some grants. I'll help you. And we did. We secured a grant from Community Foundation for her resource room this past spring, and she's going to be working on that and hopefully getting that going. But I don't look at it as me. I just look at it as the right thing to do. I don't,
Mhm.
uh, my life is uneventful. It's not, but I look at it as being the right thing to do. The only thing for me to do to feel good. One of my brothers has set up a scholarship fund with Community Foundation for 4 years, Henniger High graduate, because Connie also taught there. Yeah, I think everybody's dealing with it in their own way, but this is my way of doing it.
Yeah, and I understand. It is my understanding that you're also involved. Is it my understanding that you're also involved in efforts to honor victims of violence?
Um, I, I am, but more so that, of making donations to different types of charities
Hmm.
with that cause, with that,
With that
so
cause,
yeah,
yeah.
yes,
So to supporting in that way. I
yeah,
know that Connie's story brought attention to issues of safety, housing, and care for elder adults.
yes.
What do you want our listeners to understand about protecting and valuing our elders?
Um, I still feel somewhat that we couldn't get her out of there, but Connie was very headstrong. She had lived alone her whole life. I don't feel guilty, and I feel as though maybe we could have done something else, but every time we tried to speak about her moving out of there, because when she moved in, she moved in 2012. It was owned by a different landlord. It was fine. It was a-okay, and it
Right,
was
right.
not, and I would visit much more. By 2016 and 17, and Connie was not there. She was still traveling quite a bit. we used to joke and say, "Where was she when you were born?" Because both of us, she was in a different place in the world for all of us. But she wasn't there very much at all. She had retired. She did a little part-time thing, but she was still traveling quite a bit.
Hmm.
Matter of fact, she, in her late 80s, or no, her early 80s, she was like, "Well, I've never been to Antarctica." So she went and got that out of the way. So could say she had been to all 7 continents. Um, by when she had broken her hip in Asia, um, after that, she was pretty much more stationary and
Hmm.
didn't, and, we started visiting, but it kept getting worse. All of us did our part, but it kept getting less safe. And I wouldn't even take the elevator. I went up the stairway, which was probably not a good thing, all 12 flights. But it started getting less safe. And of course, my visits were less. I don't live in Syracuse anymore. I live north of the city on Oneida Lake. And, we did what we could, but she was still pretty much going, taking, getting her own groceries, going to Wegmans with the people there. And she was, and we would get her out for family functions. But um, it progressively got worse. And then COVID, and it wasn't very safe. And even the tenants there knew it. I've become quite friendly. I became quite friendly with a couple of the tenants, through all this, and and had seen what happened to them.
Hmm.
And it broke my heart. It broke my heart.
And certainly our condolences go out to you and your family on your horrible loss. I should have said that earlier. Um,
Yes,
and now that I think about, so now that you're doing this, the benevolence, right? And you would call it benevolence? What would you call it?
I think so. Again, I'm just doing what I think is the right thing. I'm giving back to a community that it needs help in many areas. And she always called Syracuse her home. I go back to that. And really, in my heart, it will always be my home too. I was born there, so I care. It's easy to, turn your back and say, "Well, I live here and I don't care anymore." But I don't want to be that way. So
You do you I I presume that you hope through your efforts of giving that this is a way to keep her legacy alive. What would you
I
like
hope so.
listeners
Yes,
to
I
think
hope
about?
so.
Yeah, how would you like the
Yeah.
community to continue to support those efforts?
Um, I think recognize that housing is greatly needed.
Mm.
Housing, clean, safe housing for people. Make
Hmm.
that a priority. And I think for the city leaders to do that would be something to think about. I think it opened up a lot of eyes, her death, that there were issues in many places, not just the skyline, that needed to be addressed. And before something like this happens, before another tragedy happens, um, get these people into safe, clean housing.
Talking to Sandy Touri Bell, her aunt Connie Touri was brutally murdered in 2021. The killer is doing at least three. I'm looking at the sentence,
29 and 5, 6 years
29 and
in
5 6 years.
prison. Yeah.
Yeah, and certainly that doesn't bring any solace to the family because they lost their love. You lost your loved one. Um, if there was a message of hope and resilience you wanted to leave with listeners who are facing loss or injustice, what would it be?
That one I got to think about. I think move past it, get past the terrible thoughts, hold on to the great memories, and try to do something for your loved one. Try to have a legacy for your loved one somehow. Even if it's just a personal thing on your own.
What does it mean for you to even be talking about her now?
It's much easier now, and I would say up till a while ago, it kind of just brought tears to my eyes, just getting emotional, just talking about it, knowing what happened to her and talking about it. But it gets easier now because I think I have a direction that I want to go in with it, and I think now that I know what I want to do with that, and that helps me feel better about it.
And so, what is that direction, and what do you want to do?
Um, just getting the word out there, and as I said, I'm speaking to someone about writing a book about her life and
Mm-hmm.
not just dwelling on. I think getting the word out there that she did lead an amazing life. It's not all about her brutal death. I think this community only knows when you say the name, they're like, um, she led a very amazing life for a woman of her time. She did it on her own. She left. She graduated college in '48, and within a couple of weeks she went over to Europe by herself, and Europe was still in shambles. She was a loner. She was, she did things her way, and I want people to know that she led an amazing life.
Of the lessons that you learned from her, what are two or three that stick with you?
The two or three that stick with me is when I went to visit, I never even paid attention to how bad conditions were. And again, the what sticks with me is that I think there are, I think putting a focus on clean, safe housing is very important in this city. I think that has to be a big priority for city leaders.
You know, I went to a luncheon this week, the Central State CEO Economic Forecast Luncheon, and they had a survey of what I thought was the number one concern. And I said housing.
Yeah.
I said housing. And if I had been talking to you before that, I would have said safe, affordable. I said affordable housing, but we should add
Affordable.
safe, affordable
Safe.
housing for people
Yes.
from all walks of life because
Absolutely.
that's the issue, right?
That
That's
is
the
the
issue.
issue. And again, the guilt I feel is just going up there with my blinders on and never really paying attention, just getting into that apartment, but never seeing how bad it really was. Just get me in there, and that's all I care about. And you know, um, as I said, I'm hoping that the focus in any kind of direction the city's going in, or any new leadership in the city is making sure there's enough housing, and making sure that there's codes that are they're held to the codes, and that it's safe and affordable.
And you will continue to do little benevolent things in her memory.
I will. Yes, I will. Yeah. Yeah, I'm not very open about, hey, I'm Connie Tori's niece and I'm giving you this. I'm not like that. And
Right.
even with Mary, I said, well, your tragedy dragged me. I mean, it brought me close to you, and your mission to keep kids off the streets and get them an education, and your resource room and all that. I thought that's something Connie would be very interested in. So I'm trying to go that way with it, but it's what's right for me. I don't look at it as being this great, I just don't. I look at it as being it's what's right.
Can I just say something?
Sure.
Sandy, even though you don't want the focus on you, the fact that you're making this decision in honor of your aunt, I know you say aunt, but in honor of your aunt, I think
You're correct though.
um, I think is something. And I know it feels sort of what odd to be like celebrated for the what you're doing to honor your aunt, but at the same time, it is something that I hope that you accept as something that you don't have to do, but you're doing it. And so there is something about you that I think you should allow to be celebrated, even if it's in a small way or feted or whatever you want to say. Even though you're saying it's not about me, but in some ways it is. And so I'm suggesting and encouraging you that even if it's not about you, that there's a little bit of you too.
Well, thank you for saying that. I appreciate that. But
Well, listen, you've turned pain into benevolence in our community. And for that, we thank you because it's not easy to do, but it certainly is a way for you. Like you said, everybody has their own healing journey for you to remember the great woman. We hope, listen, if you even if you can't get a book, maybe you can get a article written, right?
um,
Something.
again, I helped her with her the log she kept, and we started something, and I would really like to do that again. I think that's how you get the message out about her life.
I
Um, she some of the stories I look back and I'm like, she was on a bus in India, and there was an Indian family there with a very sick child, and the child passed away when they were on the bus, and everybody stopped. Like, she kept details of the people, which is amazing because she can just say, "I saw the Taj Mahal, I saw this," but she did that. So I thought it would make very interesting reading
so
because I'm amazed when I read it.
So you have the shell of something that can be
I
created
do.
with the help
Yes.
of, well, I'm going to
Yeah.
just shout out Linda Lowen. Are you listening? Linda Lowen, are you listening? Linda Lowen, are you listening? That's all I'll say. I said it 3 times.
I've heard that name. She's a local author, correct?
Yes, she
Yeah,
is. And
I've heard her name.
you,
Yes.
everybody, Linda Lowen, calling Linda Lowen. I'm going to send this to her and then we'll see, right?
Oh,
Because
that's very cool. Yes,
right?
thank you.
I will send this to her and say,
That's
"Hey,
great.
Linda, I need you to listen to this. This is something, and we'll see, right?
Yeah,
Because
I've had other people contact me, or I've contacted them. They've said, "I'm really busy right now, but this is very interesting."
yeah,
So,
and who knows? Hey,
yeah,
listen, Sandy, continue the good work that you're doing in honor of Aunt Connie and to your family. Again, our deepest condolences for the loss, but
thank you.
right today, we're celebrating the life of Aunt Connie, a remarkable woman. And you remind us that love is louder than tragedy and that remembering someone's life can become a call to action. Connie Touri's legacy lives on through every effort to build safer, more compassionate communities. And so we want to thank you, Sandy, for sharing your heart and continuing to shine your aunt's light for all of us.
Thank you.
Inspiration for the nation.